Guys, my name is Leo Lukic and today I'm gonna explain about the game I have made. It's still in development, but I'm trying to finish it at least to a good standard. To get the marks, I must do the following, which are to pass. I have different objectives that I have to pass. Merit and distinction. Each of them have different objectives. To get a pass, I'm gonna basically develop a 2D sprite sheet map for the game world. And what I did is created texture folders in a content, and I imported that map into the this section here. I then basically applied 2D texture settings and it made this map more 2D artish. And then what I did next is I went to sprite actions and I created tileset, which will let me add different collisions to each 32 by 32 bit image. And if I press colliding tiles, it will display all the collisions that I have made during this game development. And to do this, I basically clicked on a 132 by 32 bit image and I added a polygon, and I just added points in the area which I wanted to have collision with the player. The player must have collision as well to not have a way to get into those areas. And then when I did that, I saved it, of course, and then I created a tile map which lets me make a map. For example, I set that to map with 40 and height 20, and then I basically just selected each, I don't know, one of these images and I made a map. And before making a map, I had to, of course, set different layers, which are background, foreground, collision and top. I mainly used the background and collision. I did not use the foreground and top, so therefore I only have 2 layers in the game. That's basically it for the map. I made this map, I saved it, of course, and I dragged that map into the wall. That's basically it for the map. As you can see, there's 2 tile sheet layers, background and collision, and that's basically it for the map. In the Word document, where you must develop a character which can move into 2D with sprite sheet attached onto this. Okay, to do that we must import a character. Oh, there it is. So to do that you must import any character tile set, like create a folder called tile character, and inside just import it, and then it will look like similar to this with different characters on it. The background must be this color or other color, like pink or blue, I don't know, some kind of one solid color which can be removed in Photoshop, because we need this transparent color. And then apply 2D texture settings where it does that for you in this Unreal Engine. After that we want each sprite to be on its own layer sprite. To do that we do sprite actions and then extract sprites. Extract sprites lets you to extract each sprite into your folder. And then when you have that, you're able to create flipbooks. For each flipbook you want to have sensible directions for the player. So as you can see, there's 3 sprites that are looking down. Each one of them is different because it's a sprite that wants to do us moving down animation. So it's even here for right and then up and left. So what we do is we highlight them and then we create a flipbook. And when we do that, we maybe say move character right, and then it's basically, well, it moves basically, which is here for example. There it is. So when we did that, we are able, this will open up. Okay, you want to press on it and then you have some options here. What you do is you can set how fast and slow it can go, and you can move this to make the animation longer, but we're gonna leave it as how it is. So let's save. Also what we need is an animator. This is for allowing us to move the character to each direction. It's here. We can add more, of course, but we're not gonna do that. Never mind. Then we have to create a blueprint class which we call new character. In viewport we want to add a sprite, so we do add component and then sprite, and then we want to set the idle character down, because that's what our player will look like, and then resize it to your size that you want the character to be. And then we add the camera, where basically spawn the camera to let us see the player. Camera will spawn here, looking this way. We want to move it 90 degrees and then face forward to him. Then we want orthographic instead of perspective. This will let us see the from this camera point of view. So we also set the distance, which is like 256. I don't know the measurement, but that's what it is. 256, something like that. Then we want a thingy, a collision, which is this capsule component, which is our collision. We resize it to the size we want the collision to be, and yeah, that's basically it for the character. For the coding bit, we have our set flipbook. We made a function called set my flipbook. In that function, we have all the values that we determine the player to move. So for example, this is the set my flipbook, the first step of the code. Then we set an if statement, and then it has a condition that basically returns the value of the get left or right, get up or down, and then it decides if it's not equal to or, and goes to the branch. And if the if statement is true, it will set the last move direction and move all the way to set my flipbook. That set my flipbook will determine if the player will be true or false. If it's true, it will play the normal animations, which are basically going up, down, left or right. If it's false, if the player is not moving or touching any keys on a keyboard, which are the inputs that I have set up in the project settings, it will basically play these animations, which are basically letting the player to stop and then do nothing, basically. That's it. And in here, it sets the velocity of the changing the animations, I think, and goes to the index. If the if statement is false, the last move direction would be set to up, down, left or right, and then it will calculate if it's greater, less or more greater. It will basically determine which key has been left on the direction. When we do the function, we want to go into event graph and set a movement, call the function in here in the event graph, and then what we do is we call an event called input axis up or down, input axis left or right. For example, this bit, it lets us decide the player movement. So we add the app movement input and set the z-axis to 1, which lets us basically our character flies. He doesn't walk, he flies. And when he flies, you want to use the z-axis. And left or right will be x-axis. This will determine the way, the position, how it works. I cannot use y-axis because we don't want the character to move like inside the map and outside the map. We want the character to move left, right, up and down. And then that sets my flipbook. And if I play the game, you have to wait. So there you go. It's moving. Left stops. It's idle animation play right now. And then if I go down, you see it switches. Switches. And it plays the animation of walking. So I can do this, I don't know, do everything basically. And that's it for the character and the animations for the character. To improve on that, we could add another animation which has actual idle sprites, which can be brief and idle maybe, which is let's cut the character move up or down when it breathes, like exhales the air from the chest. And we also could add animations where he picks up an object and the object would show up into his hand. But I have not done that, and I think that would be a little bit too advanced to do that. Anyway, that's it for the character and animation. Okay, let's continue our thingy assignment. So basically for the next one in the pass criteria, we must create a game object that can be picked up by the character. So as you can see, I am gonna proceed picking up the objects, and yeah, if I press 1, it's gonna show up it's gonna print a string for me. That means I picked up an object and I have it right now in a storage, but we cannot touch it because we don't have that variable set up yet, or a function that lets us choose the object and drag it out of the inventory. Let's explain the whole code of the game object that we have just put in. So those actors are in, basically I created a parent, which is a master item, I call it that, and in master item I created a custom event called event unused. I am not really using that, but it must be something important. I think it's for storage and inventory later on. But anyway, what I did is I created a child for each item that I want to have in my game, and basically I set up the stuff. I did this by one file. I will show that later. So each one, this one, and of course this one. the rank. This is the actor that I created. I have inserted into the game. These are the 3 things, and in here I have gave them the item and the amount. The way I set this up is also in pickup actor I took the sphere, I put it on the another sphere, I made a collision around the sphere, and I added this actor to the game. Anyway, so this is the enum that I have. In here I have set up some enumerators, which are consumable equipment, quest item, readables, and that's basically it. I could add more and more and more, but that's gonna be this for now. That's basically my categories for my inventory. Blueprint, these pickup items, they don't have an image because I think it's better to have like this for now as you debug the game and the game is in prototype state. So yeah, that's basically it for the code. Well, let me show you the code. So there's the code. So what happens is the event begins, which is the sphere, and then if that's the player, that's our player. If the player touches the item, it's gonna go out to his inventory and the amount that has been set into the blueprint, and then it's going to basically take that amount and put it in inventory. Otherwise, it's just gonna destroy the actor. I mean, it's gonna destroy the actor as the player picks it up. Anyway, when the player doesn't pick it up, it's going to stay there and wait until the player picks it up, which is right here, success, which is just waiting for the player to pick it up. And yeah, that's basically it for the code here. To improve, I could just add images to these spheres and maybe have the player have those items in their hands as they move and make it look nice and stuff. But yeah, that's it basically. Now we're gonna do the section in merit, which is add sound to your game world, be it music or something else. So basically for this we're gonna add a background music where when the game starts it's gonna play a just a normal background music. We have to make sure it's not copyrighted, and we have to make sure we're allowed to use it. So to do that we're gonna go to a YouTube. We're gonna download the free background music for games, which is approved and it's allowed, it even says here. And what we need to is to copy this link and then go to paste this link and then convert it to the MP3 file, and it's gonna convert and then it's gonna download into here. And when it's done, we need to convert this MP3 to .wav because that's what Unreal Engine takes it. And then to do that we must go here online-converter.com, convert to, okay, so we choose the file which is royalty for us, and then we select one of those, and then this just will convert to the WAV file. As you can see, it's uploading right now. Okay, there you go, it's downloading. Once it's downloaded, we basically go to content, create a new folder called audio, and then in here we just right click and import the music. Once we do that, we right click this. Of course there's gonna be asterisk, so you must press on it and save it, so then it disappears. And then when it's done, we want to right click and create queue. It will create this object and we press on it, and we must set the volume multiplier to something like 0.25. It's to make sure it's not to be loud when you play the game, and when you play the game it will just play the music, which is what we want. And there you go, I'm gonna press the play and it's gonna play the music, and there you can see he's playing the music. And that's basically it for the audio part, and we get a merit for our criteria.